In a world overrun with an infinite amount of multiverses, originating from a plethora of sources, four longtime friends band together to try to make sense of it all and present it to an audience in an easy-to-digest podcast. This is Geeking Off the Page.
Greetings, geeks. This is Mike Kitchen, and it feels so good to be back.
Hey everyone, this is Trevor. I could say I'm Gavin, but I'd be lying. It's actually Trevor.
Hi everyone, it's Gavin. And we did say, I'll be back.
And this is Troy, and I don't know, bunch of wavy lines. So here we are, we're back at it from our hiatus, and we are going into episode 19 of Geeking Off the Page. And we have been away for a while, and we've just decided that we've got some sort of things set aside. You know, our summers are over, our families are back to their normal schedules or whatever. So yeah, exactly. Maybe not. But we're just getting back into the swing of what we used to be doing. And thank you everyone for coming back to listening. And I've noticed that actually over the past little while, our numbers have been slowly but surely actually increasing, which is kind of neat to actually see. The last episode we released, which was the Mike and Trevor episode, was actually very well received and seems to have quite a few views from what I have ascertained after it only being a week old. So that's kind of cool to hear. So that's kind of a neat little thing to. So, and again, if you guys didn't hear it, it's kind of cool. It's the two gentlemen talking about wizards for an hour. It's actually quite insightful and quite actually entertaining between the two of them. So, but we're going to get back right onto the proverbial horse and start off like we always do with our coming attractions. Yes. So while after all of the time that we've had off, there has been a ton of trailers. Now, technically, we could. Don't do it, Trevor. Please don't do it. Please don't do it on air. People do not like that sort of thing when they listen to audio. And you'll have to see the video to see what we are talking about. So anyways, there have been
double dipping.
Yes, there have been a ton of trailers out there, but we're just going to talk about something that is just trailers that have just recently come out. It's going to be a variety pack. That's nice to see, Trevor. So what we're going to talk about is we're going to start off with the first one that we're going to talk about is going to be Hawkeye, which is being released on Disney Plus as its next Disney Plus series. And that's going to be dropped on November 24th. Now, I take it everyone here saw the, because it was actually posted twice in our little conversation. I just got overly excited when I turned on Disney Plus and there was, oh my God, there's a trailer for Hawkeye. And I posted it in the thing and someone points out, yeah, Gavin's already gotten to that. I'm like, well, fine.
Premature postulation.
Yeah, exactly. What are you guys thinking?
I like it. I'm getting a very diehard kind of feel to it. It's just diehard with a Marvel spin on it with arrows.
Yeah, exactly. It's, I mean, again, Jeremy Renner is returning as Clint's character, and we are introduced to the new character by the name of Bishop.
Kate Bishop.
Thank you. Kate Bishop, who in the actual comic book universe is actually the one to take over the mantle of the Hawkeye. She becomes the young Avengers version of Hawkeye, and it looks like that's what we're doing in this particular series, which is kind of neat. A lot of the tropes.
Did anybody read that comic? Speaking of,
I did.
You did?
I didn't. I am aware of it, and I know a lot of the plot points of it.
Okay, because I didn't read it, so I'm curious to see.
Yeah, it's more of a comical.
Yeah,
it's more of a comical take on the Hawkeye character, which is kind of neat. And it looks from this trailer that's where they are heading that way, which is kind of neat. What do you say, Trevor?
I do like in this trailer that they explore more of Clint's abilities, because there was a throwaway line in Civil War where they're talking about, Clint retired and they're like, Clint, I heard you took up golfing, and he's like, yeah, shot 18. meaning he completed the entire course in 18 strokes, which is, par is 72. He did it in 18 holes, 18 strokes. He was done. But then, they never really in any of the Marvel movies really go into Clint's, like, the full extent of Clint's abilities. Yeah, he's an archer. He makes some great shots, but whoop-de-doo. But now we get to see Clint at basically his, sure, he's retired, but he's still not, he's not like he's given up and knitting. And we get to see
Hawkeye.
We get to see Hawkeye as Hawkeye. And that
in Hawkeye's hands.
There's a quick little scene where, he's standing in on the second floor of a building, and you see some guys down below, and one of them whips a Molotov cocktail, and he breaks the window, catches the Molotov as it comes through the window, and then throws it back. And you're like, damn, okay, so this is the kind of stuff I wanted to see in Black Widow. I wanted to see what Hawkeye looked like in the field, not surrounded by the rest of the Avengers, where he's basically drastically overshadowed by like Thor and Hulk and even Captain America. I wanted to see Hawkeye do his thing. And this trailer gives me that inkling. We're going to see that. We're going to see Hawkeye doing his thing. And, Kate Bishop's character, self-taught archer, all this sort of stuff. And it's I don't know. I'm really looking forward to this. I think
does she have the can't miss powers that Hawkeye has?
No. Oh, no.
Okay.
She is a self-proclaimed best archer in the world. And it's all self-proclaimed. Like there's that line where she says, people call me the greatest archers in the world. And he's like, are you one of them? And she's like, yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I always looked at Hawkeye, like when I was reading the comic books of Hawkeye and Bullseye were very similar. Bullseye being the Daredevil villain who his mutant ability, he can't miss. And yet Daredevil makes him miss time and time again. And I always wanted to see two of them go head to head firing arrows at each other, and who would eventually win that showdown. How many times would arrows be striking arrows in the air until finally one gets the shot through? So,
which is funny because we always talk about, we hate the movies that are fighting the evil twin, but that would be a fun one.
It would. So this is kind of, because it's at this point also, Hawkeye is running with, he's basically given up the Hawkeye garb. He's now Ronin, as he was during the Endgame, and Kate's running around in the Ronin gear, and that's why he's like, sends his family on ahead. He's like, there's just some things I gotta check up on, and it looks like it's going to be just a fun little series to watch.
Yeah, I really like how it's a Christmas special too. So that's a brand new take on the whole Marvel universe. I think Gavin said it really well. It does feel like a Die Hard. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope it doesn't fall into the Falcon Winter Soldier territory of bad writing and kind of phoning it in. Yeah, so I'm a little bit scared of that, but I hope that they pull this off.
This one, the trailer, I think they didn't take all the highest moments, but it looks like there's some of the humor that Falcon and the Winter Soldier needed but didn't pull through. Like the whole thing where he's hunting through trying to find an arrow to give her, like, not that one, hands her an arrow, she fires, blows up the truck. She's like, and this wasn't the worst arrow you could give me?
Yeah, that was a great line.
Like that.
I like that.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, from the early days of my collecting comic books, when it was West Coast Avengers that were headed by Hawkeye and what was Hawkeye's wife's name?
I want to say Mockingbird.
And Hawkeye was a fantastic character. I really was drawn to the Hawkeye character. The purple leather outfit aside, the giant winged mask with the H on the forehead. I've actually recreated that as a cosplay for myself, that costume. That's how much I liked Hawkeye growing up. When I found out that Jeremy Renner was going to be Hawkeye in the Avengers, it was like, oh, that's so cool. I know of Jeremy Renner's work that was very small stuff at the time, and I was like, yay. And what I saw in Avengers was kind of cool. Sure, like Trevor said, the character's completely overshadowed, completely. You're given so many glimpses of what he could be, or what we have information of what had happened to the character, like knowing that there is history between him and Black Widow and whatnot. Seeing this trailer for this series is going to give us the Hawkeye that we should have gotten from the get-go. This should have been like, this is going to be his solo movie, which is kind of neat. I mean, and it looks like it's going to be a fun time. And again, it looks like, from what I can remember of reading from that comic, it was a series, right? It was a limited series, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah. There is a lot of stuff that is mirrored in the clips we've seen. And again, we know how Marvel does it. Everything is completely out of order. You have no idea when you're seeing anything. You notice that you actually don't see the wife in this trailer at all. You see the kids, but you never see the wife. He's obviously at one time talking to the wife on the phone, mentioning that he's just going to be a couple more days before he's able to come along. But it does look like it's going to be definitely on the more humorous side, which plays to a strength of Jeremy Renner, because he can play a very like loose and sort of roguish type character, which is kind of neat. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. And like I said, it's November 24th. It's going to run straight through to the new year. So like it's the last week of November. And then if it's again another 6 episodes long, we're going to get straight through till the beginning of January, which would be fantastic. So it'll be running at the same time that Book of Boba Fett is playing as well. So
Exactly.
I mean, we're going to be doubling up on our Marvel and Star Wars at the same time.
Oh, there's going to be a lot.
Now, a lot.
What's nice is in this series they released some of the cast list, and we're going to see like Yelena, Black Widow's sister. Yep. She's slated to be in a couple handful of episodes.
Pockets.
Yeah, her vest with pockets. So now the only one that they haven't said is, so they've got Timothy Dalton is playing Hawkeye's early mentor, the swordsman, and this will explain Hawkeye's uniform, because he based his uniform initially off the swordsman's uniform, at least in the comics.
Yeah.
And this will also explain why Hawkeye has more than just archery skills. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So we're all kind of like, this will be kind of like Hawkeye's origin.
Yeah,
it'll
probably be an origin that he gives out his origin. Like it's not going to be like a flashback. He'll talk about, this is what happened back then and whatnot. And so the next big thing we have is something that we've been hearing about rumbling in the undergrounds for quite a while, and that's the Matrix Resurrections, which is going to get a double theatrical and HBO release. It's the last one that they're doing of the year, and it's being released on, well, not on Christmas, but on the 22nd of December. So you got your big Christmas afternoon movie. You've already opened all the presents. Let's go out to the theaters. I know Trevor and Mike won't be able to afford that sort of thing, but I was
just a babysitter at the time, so I just may watch it on HBO. If it's good enough, I may go see it again in the theater, because this is the sort of movie that the effects are kind of ones you want to see on a big screen.
Yeah. Now,
for me, I think I'm taking the blue pill on this one. When I looked at the website, they did a really good job on the website trailers with the red pill, blue pill, 2 different trailers. When I watched those, I was really excited.
Okay,
but
so
then they did the official trailer. And...
Okay, so let's back it up a little, action. Mike, tell us what those 2 things do, because I didn't do the website. I only saw, the only trailer I've seen is this one that was officially
the website. Yeah, it was kind of like a pre-trailer. So the first thing was the What is the Matrix website. Okay. It just had 2 pills on the screen. And if you click the red pill, you see one trailer. If you click the blue pill, you see a different trailer. It was very vague, and it looked really exciting. Both of them looked really exciting. But then when I saw the actual trailer, I was like, no, I think I will just take the blue pill and go back to my own Matrix and just kind of not watch this movie.
Okay.
Which is too bad, because I was hoping for some redemption out of this, because the first Matrix is one of my top movies of all time. Ultimate favorites.
Yeah.
Second and third Matrix, they didn't do it for me. There's some interesting moments, but as far as a movie, they didn't hold up. So I was hoping the fourth one would be a redemption movie, and I don't think we're going to get that.
It
But
just
we'll
feels
see.
like a
I may
giant
be wrong.
reboot. It
It
really
seems
does.
like it. Yeah.
So you're
There's-
saying they're gonna Force Awakens this this Matrix?
Well, I've seen a couple of still shots where they're like, you see the machines reassembling Neo's body.
Oh,
and
I have not seen. I have not seen that.
it's just a still, and it's basically like his body, and there's like big gaping holes, and you can see like they're putting stuff in, like they're kind of reassembling a Neo. It just, and the thing is their explanation of why they're recasting Morpheus's character, little things like that I'm just like, yeah, I don't know if I mean, as I said, I'll watch it on HBO, and if it's visually interesting enough, I may say, okay, screw it, I'll go see it in the theater, but I'm not gonna like, buy a pre-advanced ticket and wait in line or anything like that.
Well, no one waits in line anymore to go see a movie. Like, but I myself, I am excited to see this movie. Look, Lana Wachowski, Wachowski. She is solo directing this movie. It's all being done by her, which is an interesting thing. I don't know the story about the two sisters and why only one of them is doing this this movie solo, but I, like everyone, I saw the other three movies. The first one, again, like you said, Mike, top of the list, like top 10 guaranteed for me. The subsequent sequels, not as engaging as The Matrix was. And I think also the fact that both movies were released in the same year, like they were released within 6 months of each other, I think it was, or something like that. One was in the spring, one was in the fall, or something like that. It was just very close together, not enough time to let anything sink in. And like, you didn't even have the chance to rewatch the first movie before you saw the third movie because there was no time to be released on, I guess it still would have been VHS at the time. No, it would have been DVD by that time, right? So you lost that sort of feel of the anticipation of the next one coming out, and then all of a sudden the next one's out. You go see it, and it's like, well, the second one was okay, and then the third one is like, this is a waste of my time. I have been seeing, though, a lot of people have been going back and having not seen the second and third one for quite a few years, and they've been changing their opinion. They're not saying it's great movies, but they're saying there's a lot more to them that they didn't realize they had missed the first time around. So
they both definitely have moments.
Yeah.
Like I thought bringing the weird supernatural ghost type thing was a neat thing, like a new glitch to the Matrix.
Yes, Adrian is basically stating that she from the get-go was like, she knew that they were great movies.
So much
that
subtext.
Yes, it's a lot of the subtext that people were yes missing out on.
And then the third movie had one of the first great superhero fights of all time, with Smith and Neo flying through there and punching and the rain explosions. Like that sequence was epic. Although as a whole movie, it kind
of fell apart. Yeah, it was.
Again, it was also groundbreaking too. Like you said, you do not have a good Superman movie visually without the third Matrix movie. Like you said, that fight sequence is phenomenal. I mean, again, they're still groundbreaking how they were done, how they looked. The feel of the movies are fantastic. It's just, unfortunately, it just too much too soon, I think, is what it was. I mean,
do you remember at the end of the third one where he started seeing the gold code?
Yeah.
So it's almost like the real world was actually its own Matrix.
Yeah.
I was hoping that this movie will take that into account somehow.
Yeah, if it addresses
there'd be
that.
neat, like an Inception, where it's like a level within a level within a level. If
And
they
again,
do that, I'd be kind of interested, but I didn't see any hints of that in the trailer.
Yeah, it's I mean, because I took that when I saw that so if the Matrix is a program being run, that's the green code, and he was seeing the operating system running the program. So it's like if you're running Photoshop and then you can look through Photoshop and see windows going on. And that's what I was thought, okay, so maybe Neo's power is not that he's affecting the Matrix, he can affect the operating system, which automatically affects the Matrix. But then if they're not going to deal with that, then it's like, well, then what was that shown for?
But again, I'm gonna go see it. Adrian and me are gonna definitely go see this. It's gonna be a great break from the season sort of thing to get away for a couple of hours and whatnot. I'm sure Gavin's in the same boat, right, Gavin?
I
Okay.
mean, for me, it's
All right,
it's
a
very
nod,
much-
a nod on an audio podcast.
Very much.
Thank you,
There you
Gavin.
go.
Tune in for the YouTube version to see Gavin's head nod.
Yeah.
It's like, did Gavin nod? The hinge needs to be oiled, but we're good.
There we go. We need that sound effect.
All right. So moving on from that, the next thing up we have is the animated feature from DC Animations, Injustice, which is based on the very popular, very profitable both video game and comic book series as well. And this is going to be released to, because there's still no other name for it, home video. And it's going to be available for digital on October 19th, which is kind of neat. So what did you guys think of this? It's only about a minute long, and it looks like it's probably the first maybe 20 minutes of the actual movie, because we have the setup for the storyline, which if you don't know what the storyline is, to boil it down to a couple of lines is Joker kills Lois Lane, who's pregnant with Superman's son, or I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, child, and Superman loses it, kills Joker, and everything goes to pot. Superheroes are fighting superheroes, supervillains are fighting superheroes, and back and forth and all that sort of thing. Everyone teams up.
Basically, Superman establishes a new world order where basically his word is law.
Yeah.
He decides that humanity isn't capable of ruling itself. So
yes, but this trailer stops short of Superman taking out Joker right in front of Batman. So that's basically it. We have probably the setup for the story, and that's it. Now, again, it's an animated feature from DC, and we all know that the DC animation studios do fantastic work.
Far better than their live action.
Oh, they definitely, exactly. Again, this is a different style than what we've seen before. Kind of cool. We got different voice actors again, which is also a great thing that they do about this. It shows that it's a different universe. It's their multiverse that they're pulling from, because you have a different look, a different sound, but it's all the same. The characters don't stray too far away from the norm, which is kind of neat. I'll have to say that I think I know I'm not gonna have long to deal with it, but I'm gonna have to try and get used to the Joker's voice. It seemed a little forced and all that. The guy doing Batman sounds like he's doing a pretty good Kevin Conroy. But again, I'm there for it because it's kind of hard. I have not yet run into I can't watch this animated feature from DC. Anyone else feel the same way?
I'm
I
looking
like
forward
the
to it.
animated stuff. As far as the trailer goes, I didn't see the trailer. That's one I actually missed. So
Again,
I'll pass it over to you guys, but I'm looking forward to it.
Again, it's only a minute long, and it's basically sets up like Joker has set off a bomb that destroys Metropolis in the process, killing Lois and his unborn child. And
he takes it badly.
And apparently Superman takes it badly. Yeah. And of course, Batman like confronts Joker, and he's like, "Why'd you do that?" And Joker's like, "What do you mean? How could you not know why I did this?" sort of thing. And then Superman shows up at the end and got the
I know the video game's very adult. Does this animation look like it's adult?
It could go either way.
I think this is one for the kids.
No, I'm gonna say no.
I think the subject matter might be a little bit much for the kids.
Well,
you're dealing with a lot of death.
To put it in perspective, the games are M-rated.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because of the fatalities.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like Superman kills Shazam in it, like pretty much nukes his head. It is the games are definitely not kid friendly. The the various super moves, it'll be really nice to actually see this whole all played out as a full story, like a cinematic story. The cutscenes, the cinematics in the games do tell a lot of the story, but it's all interspersed with Flash versus Reverse Flash. Well, now we got to fight, and then cut to the gameplay, and then whoever wins, or if you win, the story progresses. If you lose, you can continue with a different character, and it's always interrupted by that. The gameplay. So it'll be nice to actually see the a bit more cinematic take on the story.
Yeah, it's true too. And you're going to be guaranteed to see superhero deaths. I mean, they can't kill off characters in this. They can't not kill off characters in this. This is going to be like
people
Suicide Squad. Yeah, people are going to die. Yes.
Not going, have to. People have to die to make this work.
Yeah, for this to be an injustice. Yeah, exactly. If this is a true telling of the injustice storyline, yes, people are going to die, and not just all of Metropolis. So
I'm kind of hoping that they incorporate effectively the finishing moves in it. The Flash had some of the best like super move finishing moves I've seen. He grabs his opponent, tears a portal in through time, goes back to the Jurassic period, slams the opponent into the side of a T-Rex, then runs back and slams him into himself in the future. I mean,
I love that it's the Jurassic Park period. That's awesome.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. So I mean, again, it's DC animated. It's hard to be steered wrong because of them, because they've got a great track record. Again, their animation is so well done, so true to the original story too. Every once in a while it goes off book a little bit, but still it's always an enjoyable watch. Okay, the other thing we got a little TV spot for The Batman, which is due in spring of next year, I believe it is.
March 4th, 2022.
Thank you. Which is technically spring of,
and will be on HBO as well, same day release.
Oh, it's still doing same day release.
It's still
that I did not
to be,
catch.
Yeah, it's still slated to be premieres on HBO Max same day.
I think that might hurt its box office, but you never know what 2022 is going to bring us.
Who knows?
Yeah.
The Epsilon variant.
Just what we need, another booster. I before the recording, we have a bit of a feel for this sort of thing. So let's just say what we think about the Batman. So far, what we have, the information right now, what are we thinking for the Batman? This movie that is
for me, everything I see makes me less and less interested. Now, when this movie was starting with Ben Affleck, I was kind of interested. Like, I thought he made a pretty good Bruce Wayne, and I thought they probably could have made a good movie. And it sounded like they were going to do, geez, what would that be, like an Arkham Asylum or something with like lots of different characters. It sounded like it was going to be one of those typical books that you get from DC Comics, those 12-issue series where the writer just wants to throw every single villain into it.
Just a panel per bad guy.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, these characters are cool. Let's use all of them.
Yeah.
It sounded like it was going to be something like that. But I know, these guys are comic fans, and I thought they might pull it off. When that got axed and this new one got started, I was like, oh, young Batman. I'm kind of looking forward to that. I would like to see a year one Batman. But then you start seeing the costume, and it's like, it's kind of armored still. And you start seeing all the vehicles. Yeah, then the vehicles are all chunky. Like, nothing's as good as the Tim Burton Batmobile. And then you see the villains, and it's kind of dark and grungy and vampire-y, Twilight looking, and like, I can't take my kids to see this, and I don't even think I even want to see this. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, no, it totally looks like it's going to be a dark, grungy, and again, we don't need that we don't need a darker version of Batman that we've already gotten. I'm willing to see more of I'm willing to sit through an Adam West style totally, Trevor. Yes, exactly. The exact same time. I want to see
Yes.
I want to see a comic book, not like I want to see another Tim Burton. I want to see an Adam West
Right.
or a
Not
Tim
a Joel
Burton
Schumacher.
style.
Batman dance anymore.
Not a Schumacher. That was too far off
Going
the
down
rails.
battle.
But I want to see something again. I want to see something
Classic.
I can bring my 5.5-year-old daughter to see, because I think she needs, like, we saw the Justice League, the first theatrical Justice League in the theaters. We went to see it, but I mean, Aslan was way too young. It was just a bunch of bright colors on the screen and all that sort of thing. That was her extent to seeing that, but that really wasn't a Batman either that she really needed to see. Thankfully, it wasn't nearly as violent as the Zack Snyder version of it. But again, I don't think we know Batman is dark. Everything in our bones tells us Batman is dark. I mean, we don't need to keep having a dark Batman. I want to see a lighter Batman. I want to see, hell, you know what I want to see? I want to see, no, I'm changing my tune. I want to see a animated series Batman, but live action. I want to see that.
I would go that.
Yeah.
Batman. I want to see that noir, like comic book, like newspaper comic book, like Batman movie. I want to see that. I want to be able to go there and see those beautiful, like what Dick Tracy was back then. I want to see an updated version, but at Batman. I want to see that Batman.
Yeah,
and I
in
know
my
they can
opinion,
do
the
it.
closest was that fan film, the Batman Dead End.
That
That's
Dead End
one
was
that
fantastic.
got so close to the comic book.
Oh yeah.
And he's not armored up. He's still wearing, the leotard suit.
Yeah.
Looks cool. It's got the vibe. It's dark, but it's fun. That's the Batman I want to see.
That was
somewhere between that and Adam West.
That was what?
The
yeah,
goalpost.
and that
somewhere
Dead
in
End
between
was,
is perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that Dead End was like what, 2003 or 2008?
It was a decade ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
At least a decade.
The fact that it was
Or
a
more,
fan
yeah.
film, the technology they had available to them, like it was just beautifully done. But again, I mean, I know that what's his face is a good actor. Edward. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Pattinson. Robert
Yeah,
Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson is a good actor. Everything that I've seen him in, he's a fantastic character in anything he's done.
Do you think he's a good Bruce Wayne?
I don't know if he's a good Bruce Wayne because we haven't seen anything. There's 2 or 3 shots in this trailer that are like less than a second long of him as Bruce. There's a
Looking
couple of
haggard.
them with the cowl on, and there's a couple of them without the cowl but still in the bat suit, and he's got like hair in his face sort of thing and all that. I
It
don't
looks like
know.
an emo goth kid.
He does.
Yeah.
Yes, and again, it's probably going to be a very young Batman, and yes, his costume is way too advanced for a young Batman.
That was, for me, when I watched the trailer, I was like, 3 things that jumped out at me. 1, he's got all the gadgets already. 2, he's got the armored suit. But the thing that killed me the most, he's walking around a crime scene and none of the cops are like, oh, it's the Batman. So he's been working with the police long enough that he's lost the mystique to the officers. So that means he's been doing this. This isn't year 1. This is like year 4 or 5 or 6. So he's been working hand in hand with the cops enough. They're like, oh yeah, Batman's here. Okay, he's gonna check shit out and solve the crime for us. And what I had originally heard when Affleck was still connected to this, he was looking at doing the end of Batman's final, like almost like the end of Arkham Knight, where he's facing the foe, and to defeat the foe, he's got to, in essence, kill the Batman because his secret gets revealed. He's got to destroy Wayne Manor. He's got to destroy the mantle of the Bat because everything's turned against him at this point. But to finish the mission, it's what he's got to do. And I was like, that's going to be awesome because you got like the older grizzled Batman. It would have worked. And then like, no, we're scrapping that and we're grabbing Robert Pattinson. I'm like, oh God, Edward Cullen, here we go. And he's going to sparkle. And then now that I'm seeing these things and I'm like, oh my God, what are they trying? They're not doing a year 1 because it's not Batman trying to figure out his, not Bruce Wayne trying to figure out himself as Batman and get his feet wet and figure out how he's going to do this because it's established he's been doing this for a while, at least with the stuff he's got going on. And and then you got the emo Bruce Wayne. It's like, Peter Parker in Spider-Man 3, the emo Parker. It's just like,
Yeah.
did no one learn from that? No one?
Speaking of the year one Batman, did you guys read the Dark Knight comic from the 90s? That was the one where it had like the colored covers and the masks, and the mask kept breaking every cover and to reveal the Batman.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a great moment in that because it's retelling the origin of Batman, where Bruce Wayne comes back from all his training and he's like, all right, I'm ready to go fight crime. He basically puts on like an old veteran suit, so he's got like the toucan and the combat jacket on.
Yes.
And he just gets his ass kicked. Like, he goes out in the streets, just gets pummeled. It's like, oh man,
they don't fear him.
Right.
And he realizes
and
that.
then he's trying to figure out what the hell am I going to do? And that's when the bat comes through the window in Wayne Manor. And it's like, oh, I'll become a bat. And then he takes that next step. Like, if they had that moment in the film, that'd be amazing.
But they're not.
And no body armor. The spandex suit. I want to see that. Year one, can't have body armor.
Yeah. At least not until after he gets his ass severely thumped.
Yeah.
Right.
And shot a couple
until he fights Superman.
Yeah, and gets. I think it was he didn't start arming suit until he took a bullet, and then he was like, "Well, okay, if I'm gonna facing these guys without guns, I gotta up my armor game."
Oh, there was that. Well, I can't remember where this part was, but somebody asked him why he wore a great yellow shiny target on his chest.
Because that's where the Kevlar
exactly
was.
why I wear it, because it's armored.
It's like, Batman, why do you wear all black? To hide in the all-concealing shadows. Why is Robin wearing like bright red and green? So I can hide in the all-concealing shadows.
Yeah. So
that's costume. But did you have to give him fishnets?
That being said,
Short
happy Batman Day, everyone. Today is officially the anniversary of the first appearance of Batman in the DC Comics, which is kind of cool.
Now, a little side note, just before we jump into going into movies.
Yeah.
This Wednesday is going to be busy.
Yes.
This Wednesday, we have the following things dropping. Dune, theatrical, dropping North America. Next episode of What If, dropping on Disney+. Star Wars Visions, dropping Disney+. All the animated Japanese shorts for Star Wars. Everything happening on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
that's gonna be
clear your damn day.
Yeah, I took the wrong vacation time.
Took the wrong time to stop sniffing glue.
Yeah, took the. All right, so as Trevor was saying, we're gonna go on to our next subject, and it's a big one that we've been chomping at the bit to talk about. We actually almost broke our protocol just to maybe just do mini episodes and all this, but we decided we're gonna cover it all now. What we are gonna do is we're gonna come together and talk about the DC Plus animated series, Marvel's What If. Marvel Studios' What If.
What if?
And these are, if you don't know what these are, do yourself a favor and get out from underneath your rock and do yourself a favor and go see these things. Do you guys want to start with the first one? We're going to go episode by episode. So if you guys want to start with episode 1, which is What If Captain Carter were the first Avenger?
Who wants to jump into it first? Me? Okay. So the setup of this one is very straightforward. We start with almost the premise of, Captain Marvel, the first Avenger, or Captain America, the first Avenger, Captain Marvel. Yeah, Captain America, the first Avenger. And we get right up to the point where Steve is about to go into the Vita Ray capsule. But at that point, Hydra spy, shoots, and they're like, oh crap, we've got to do this now. Steve can't do it. And so Peggy Carter steps up, jumps in the capsule, and gets turned into Captain Carter. And this is where things get a little interesting because when Steve Rogers became Captain America, he was getting the primo version of the super soldier serum. He was getting the Vita Rays, the whole 9 yards. That's why he's stronger than Red Skull. He's stronger than Bucky because they got inferior versions of the same serum. Peggy got the 100% version, but she was starting at a higher physicality than Steve Rogers. She wasn't some sickly kid from Brooklyn. She was a highly trained British agent. So that is reflected in Captain Carter's actions. Also, she's trained to fight. She's trained to one-hit kills, because as a woman, she'd be facing men. She can't stand around and duke them forever. So when we see her in action, she's taking out Hydra people with one shots. It's devastating and at the same time very lethal. So the whole thing is
She's also enjoying it too. She's also enjoying it.
Oh yeah, she's having a great time.
Yeah.
Now initially, just like with Steve when he was Captain America, they were like, "You can't go fight," and that's quickly put the kibosh on. They have the Tesseract, they have the vibranium shield. She's Captain Carter, and Stark, Tony's dad, uses the Tesseract and makes a weaponized suit that eventually would be called the Hydra Stomper.
Mm-hmm.
And so her and Steve are, kicking Red Skull's ass left, right, and center. And they eventually use the Tesseract, the Space Stone, to open up a portal to try to, summon a being that could win the war for Hydra, not for the Nazis, for Hydra. And there's a whole lot of tentacles. And Peggy's able, as Captain Carter, to shove the beastie back in the portal, but it takes her with it. We're probably going to see her again. Hint, hint. And we actually see this tentacle beast in a later episode. Hint, hint, hint. And it was a great, it was just a great episode. And at the end of it, Tesseract opens, Captain Carter emerges, and she meets Nick Fury and Hawkeye, which was a nice way to kind of end the episode. To me, it was a great first episode for What If, especially for people like, am I going to watch this? Am I going to like it? Because it gives you a strong female protagonist. Great action. They lifted scenes right out of Captain America, changed the character up, but it's the same camera angle, the same sort of action, which really ties it into the film and gives you that feeling of, a different dimension, shared universe sort of idea. So yeah, that was my first impression. First episode knocked it out of the park.
Oh, for sure. Coming off the not knowing what was going to do. All we knew about this was the tiny little teaser trailer, and we knew what Peggy Carter was going to look like as Captain Carter. But to see her in action and to actually hear her in action, because again, Haley Atwell revises the voice of Carter, and she sounds like she's having so much fun doing this. Now, a couple of the other actors return with their actual voices, but the studio that did the animation and did all the voice directing and all that picked some, and I'm going over the whole entire series, but to start off with, it's not Chris Evans returning doing Steve Rogers. This voice actor that they got to do Steve Rogers, which I knew I should have written his name down, does a fantastically, almost pitch perfect impression of the skinny Steve Rogers. He doesn't have any gravitas like buffed up Steve does in the movies, but he brings across the portrayal of the small Steve Rogers so beautifully. He sounds so much like he does at the beginning of the movie, which is fantastic. Sebastian Stan returns as Bucky. We have a couple of the other actors that do the voices of, Dum Dum Dugan is the same actor that does the voice acting and all that, which is kind of neat.
Toby Jones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Jones comes back as well. Obviously we don't have Hugo Weaving as Red Skull this time, but it's the voice actor that did Red Skull in Endgame.
Ross Marquardt.
Yes, thank you.
Endgame.
It was Josh Keaton that did the voice, by the way. Kind of a Marvel voice acting alumni, basically.
Yeah. So I mean, again, out of the gate, knowing it was going to be a strong one, because we've already seen a bunch of the visuals from that, and it looked cool. The art style is fantastic, and so yeah. So what about you, Gavin? What do you have to say?
I loved it. Just the fact that they showed how much more of an improvement the super soldier serum would be on an actual soldier versus skinny kid from Brooklyn. The first thing I said to Amanda when we were watching was I think she's stronger than Captain America was, way stronger. like she was leaping higher. She was like gutting tanks with the shield, like slicing them open as they drove past. And I was like, okay, she is way stronger. And then pairing her up with the with Steve Rogers in the Hydra Stomper was like absolute genius. Like little shades of Iron Man in there, you know, showing where maybe Tony Stark got got his flash of inspiration from, or where it could have come from.
Mhm.
It just worked so well together.
Yeah. And Michael?
Episode 1 is the only one I watched with the whole family. And my daughter, who I thought would absolutely love this because Peggy Carter is her favorite character, she said, I don't know if I like these ones because they're not real stories. So she's so attached to the original Marvel Cinematic Universe that these are fake stories to her. So she couldn't get invested in it. So I thought that was a really interesting take, and I understand where she's coming from. My son Marcus, he loved all the fight sequences, and so he was all into it. It's like, no, this is pretty cool. He liked the Iron Man, Steve Rogers, and all the Peggy Carter action sequences. So that was all good. One thing I didn't like about the episode was the quippy jokes that she kept having. I thought the writing could have been better for those. I like the idea of it. I like the playfulness of it. But every time she had a quippy one-liner, it's like, oh, maybe they should have had a comedian go in, just kind of punch those up a little bit.
Punch it up a little. Okay.
Yeah. All said, though, I enjoyed the episode. Like, again, like we've been talking about for previous podcasts, we like the what if storylines. We like how it takes something that we know and gives it the twist, like what happens if something went the other direction, and you get a big story out of it. So that was really fun, and I really enjoyed all that.
Something I thought was kind of a neat take. I saw this posted on Shower Thoughts on Reddit, and it basically the entire What If series is basically everything that Doctor Strange saw in Infinity War when he was doing that premonition thing.
Yeah,
no, he was just
he
watching
saw all the outcomes.
That's all he was doing. He didn't see the 14. He just had to make up a story of it. Oh, I was just watching Endgame on my in-head Blu-ray player. Sorry, guys. So instead, I watched 14 million variations and we only won one. That was his cover story. He was just watching movies.
PIP, projection and projection.
Or porn. He was connected to Pornhub and like, oh shit, they're looking. Yeah, that's how we do it. Okay, yeah, I was watching 14 million variations. He wasn't looking through time. Ugh.
All right.
Doctor Strange.
So Disney Plus is dropping these episodically, one per week. So the following week, we ended up with episode 2, which is what if T'Challa became a Star-Lord? Now, this is probably the most anticipated one of what you knew was coming down the line, because knowing that
Chadwick.
Oh my God, why am I blanking with names? I'm so out of touch with saying names out loud and all that. Yeah, that's why you're there, Trevor.
It's been a while, folks. We've been gone for a month. It's late at night. Look,
when I see him start to struggle, I'll supply a voice.
Yeah, because you know that Chadwick Boseman has passed on, and you know that he has actually recorded his final, basically, character of doing T'Challa for these animated series. You know that this is the final time we are hearing him as the character of whatever character he's playing and all that. And in this particular one, he's actually not playing Black Panther. He is taking on the mantle of, it's kind of neat because the actual title says a Star-Lord, not Star-Lord, a Star-Lord. So apparently it's not an actual name that Peter Quill called himself. It's apparently some sort of...
I kind of disagreed with that because his mom called him her Star-Lord.
I understand that. And
that's where the name came from.
Yeah.
But I'll let it slide.
Yeah. He is a lord in the stars. So like he's not a king, he's a lord sort of thing. Anyways, but so what it is T'Challa T'Challa, as a child, gets picked up outside of the Shield of Wakanda and gets mistaken for the character of Peter Quill, and it's quickly brought to it's Yondu brings up, like, does this even look like the guy we were supposed to be looking for? And of course, we've got a couple of mishaps, and then Yondu decides, the hell with it, let's take this kid anyways.
Yeah.
So it's and then we go through this whole entire thing. T'Challa grows up in space and doesn't become the rogue sort of bounty hunter, sort of pirate that the Ravagers turn Peter Quill into. T'Challa turns into a Robin Hood of the galaxy. He turns the Ravagers into
The Merry Men.
the Merry Men. Yes, exactly. It gets to the point where he convinces Thanos not to pursue exterminating half the population of the
It was
universe.
a good
He's
plan.
Little John now.
Yeah, he is his Little John. He is his Little John. Exactly. It's first of all, it's a very heartfelt episode because Chadwick's performance as T'Challa, as it always is so endearing to Chadwick. It's Chadwick coming through this character and all that, and everything that they do in it feels like the character. And the cool thing is, it isn't Black Panther. It isn't the Black Panther that grew up. It was a convincing way that T'Challa would be if he grew up in the situation that he was. And again, a lot of the voice actors return for all the roles, a lot more than others. Even Seth Green shows back up to do Howard the Duck again, which is kind of neat. But yeah, I don't think the Collector is not voiced by Benicio del Toro. I don't believe. Trevor's checking
totally
that really
is.
quickly. As
Is he even in episode 2?
he's well, they have
He is in it.
yeah, he fights
Okay.
he takes all of his he ends up with Hera's like headpiece and starts fighting T'Challa as he's trying to
that's right.
yeah. So I don't think Benicio del Toro returns as he
No,
could.
he's totally the voice.
He is the voice. He does return.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
remember seeing his voice. All I do remember is that Kurt Russell does return as Ego, which is kind of neat.
Almost a
one
throwaway
at the
line,
end.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. But again, it's a fun. Most of the episode takes place on Nowhere, which is kind of neat. It's an area that we all know about before, and it's again, visually, it looks like James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy. It has the same look, it has the same feel to it. It just, the characters are beautifully portrayed in this. Yeah, again, the style that they've chosen for this is just fantastic. What do you guys think?
I can't believe I'm glitching on that. I was thinking that was a different episode.
Oh,
That's
really?
what happens when you binge them all in one day.
That's a lot to take in.
Yeah, episode 2, I would say, for the most part, was my least favorite episode, which is unfortunate because, I wanted this one to be one of my favorites. But I did like The Collector. And I don't know why I'm glitching and thinking that was a later episode. But all that aside, The Collector part was amazing. I liked the fact that it showed his plot to grab all the Infinity Stones. So now that Thanos is kind of out of the picture, now he's the big bad of the universe, which is fun. I did like the whole idea of Wakanda sending out the spaceships to go searching for, the lost prince. That was really cool. But there's something about the writing in this one that I didn't quite believe it. I liked how the Ravagers followed the alien technology to abduct the kid. It's like, yeah, we found space stuff, so this has to be the right kid, right? So that's a good excuse to, bring Black Panther up into space. But I didn't quite buy Thanos becoming one of the Merry Men. With Nebula, her character seemed a little off to me. There's a bunch of stuff that just
She had
felt
hair.
off in this. She did. Like, what is going on with that?
Karen Gillian's probably like, what? She gets hair? Son of a bitch. I kept shaving my head.
I know. It's like, I could have pulled that off. Yeah, so it was probably of all of them my least favorite, even though it had some great moments. And yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about that. On to you guys.
I liked it because it was a heist story. I always like heist stories, and I like how it was one of those like, ooh, they held something back from the audience, so it turned out the double cross was actually a triple cross sort of thing. I love that sort of reveal sort of thing. I thought it was, again, for a half-hour animated episode, I thought it handled a lot of things really well, and I really totally enjoyed it. Next, anyone else?
I got to say, I enjoyed it because mostly because T'Challa was a much better Star-Lord than Peter Quill could ever hope to be.
Way better.
Oh, it was just showing like what would happen if like Star-Lord was actually good with people. I mean, it just sort of it's sort of like T'Challa brings the best out of people and somehow managed to bring the best out of Thanos.
Yeah.
Somehow convincing him that with a good argument that maybe genocide was not the answer to the universe problem.
Yeah.
I liked it in general.
All right. So moving on to the next episode, we have. I'm sorry, Trevor. Did you want to say anything?
I kind of did, but you just kind of.
I am so sorry. I just realized that you didn't. I'm sorry. I'm the
Trevor
one that
talks so
talking.
much all the time anyway.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
I just
the first episode, Trevor talked, and then I talked, and then when I started, I was like, "Wait, is Trevor?" I apologize, Trevor. Please go
That's
right
okay.
ahead.
That's okay.
No,
Please, Trevor, give us some
Trevor.
words.
We're not going any
All
further.
right, here comes some words. And Saskatchewan 7 triple bit. No, anyways, I like this episode as much of it showed the character of T'Challa and the statesman he was. I didn't like the episode because I felt the pacing was a little slow in areas, and some of the things just kind of felt a little contrived. I like the idea that they're exploring, swapping out Peter Quill for someone else, and they swapped him out for Peter Quill, the worst possible person to swap him for because it made Quill that much more of a fuck up. T'Challa was able to bring so many different people. I mean, when he's stealing the Power Stone and they're like, "Oh, it's Star-Lord, guys, Star-Lord," and he's like, apologizing for having to shoot at him and apologizing for it. And he said, "No, it's okay." It's okay. Like Chadwick Boseman brought so much to that role, and knowing it's one of his final roles at the same time, it's kind of sad, but at the same time, you're like, he could have. I wanted to see where he was going to go with this character, and it kind of shows the strength of character that T'Challa is, and more importantly, that the strength of character that Chadwick Boseman could put into the voice to make it believable. But as an episode, to me, it felt kind of boring. It almost felt like a giant Mary Sue episode, like he could do no wrong, even though the character of T'Challa for the most part can do no wrong. It was a little fluff for me. It wasn't quite as hard hitting, especially when we get into the next couple of episodes that are just like someone's like, and we're flicking off the light switch because we're going dark. So this one felt like a very fluff episode to me.
Just to
Now, did you guys
brace yourself for that?
Did you guys believe that T'Challa could turn Thanos?
I kind of did
buy that part,
because the thing is I look at his dad in the Winter Soldier. His dad was such a statesman, even though he's coming from what everyone believes is such basically a little bankrupt, know-nothing country. People stop and listen to him.
Civil War.
Was it Civil War?
Yeah, it was Civil War. Yeah.
Okay, it was Civil War. But it just shows the strength of character that person can project that makes people stop and listen. And I believe that we saw in Black Panther how T'Challa kind of had some of that. It was still very, very raw because he was still like running around being a superhero. But if you kind of take some of that out, and now it's his life of being like the Robin Hood sort of character, that he has to use his words as much as he's using his elemental guns, that statesmanship would come through quicker. and it would
I
become
believe
much
he
more
could do it
developed.
for anybody except Thanos. I was like, didn't buy it.
I don't know. With a good enough argument, you
What
can convince people to just do just about anything.
True. What about you, Gavin?
I bought it. I thought T'Challa would have had that Bardic style way of convincing people to do the right thing.
Troy?
Rolling a natural 20.
Well, I just want to point out, don't forget at the time that they actually did this recording of Chadwick Boseman for this role, is that he's the only person that knew that he was probably not going to be there for much longer. I mean, the fact that it was written for him the way it wasn't written for him because they knew he was going to pass on. It just happened to be this one that celebrated the character. And yes, I do believe that the way that they wrote this T'Challa for this story, I believe he would totally be able to. They probably had like a week-long conversation. This is not something that you sit down over a beer and you decide, no. The two of them went at it back and forth for like days on end. And at the end, they came to a conclusion and Thanos was like, you know what? You're right. And it wasn't a simple conversation. This is something that they mulled over for like a good couple of days, back and forth, just the two of them. They would go like probably crash in the same room, wake up, and then start talking again and whatnot, where they just picked up, sort of thing. I can totally see that being the way T'Challa totally convinced Thanos to not go the route that he did in the MCU. So
It's
And become
genocide
Little
with
John.
extra steps.
yeah.
I just liked at the end when you see like in the foreground, Thanos is talking to someone, and they're like, "Yeah, it seems kind of dark." They're like,
Seems like
but it's an
genocide.
efficient solution.
Yeah. Oh no, and I love the fact that they kept bringing up that Thanos would keep telling everyone, they're like, no, it would have worked. And yeah.
This Thanos, though, is clearly a very pragmatic person, though. To convince him that it is not a good idea, T'Challa would have had to have given him some very logical reasoning why this is not the move you think it is. So I feel like this is exactly what Troy said. They basically like locked themselves in a room and talked for like weeks at a time.
Yeah. So
I
now that
would have thought
everyone,
Thanos would have just kidnapped him, put robot parts in his body, and said, "Now you are my adopted son."
so
Anyways,
now that
next
everyone's had their say about the second episode, episode 3 is the what if the world lost its mightiest heroes. Who wants to take a charge on this one? Mike, you got this one?
I will say this is my second favorite episode.
All right, that's a good start.
Because first of all, I love how it pulls from all the different Marvel movies. Like obviously every single what if does that, but this ties into a lot of different ones, like even going right back to the Hulk and stuff, which is fun. It was fun to see the Avengers get sniped out one at a time, although I don't buy that Hank Pym would kill the Avengers. So even though I love the whole episode, right? It's second favorite. I think they needed to spend a little bit more time in the writing room to convince me, because I know, okay, his wife died, his daughter died, but I still don't think he would snap enough to just start wiping out the world's greatest heroes. No, I do like how he was in the Yellow Jacket costume. So it's like, okay, he went full villain. So, thumbs up on that. But if they had given more of a reason there, then this might have been my favorite episode. It was just right at the end. I was like, who could possibly take out every single one of these Avengers? Like every time something happened, I had no idea where it was going or who could possibly be doing it. But once you find out that it's Hank Pym, it's like, wow, that's cool that Ant-Man can do that. Well, he shouldn't do that. He's a good guy. So that part got me a little bit, even though I did enjoy the episode.
So you don't think that his like blaming Shield for the death of his daughter, because his daughter becomes part of Shield.
What the fuck just happened to my phone? Listen to it.
Yeah, I know. What is that? Can you
Hank
guys hear that?
Pym. He's
Can you
doing it
guys hear
again.
that?
Yes.
Okay, just a second.
Man.
Those were alerts. It just gave me
All of your
Yeah.
alerts at once. Okay.
messed up.
Oh, it's Ed Asner. Oh. It's a Criminal Minds episode on right now, and Ed Asner just happened to walk into the scene. He just recently passed away. Anyways, so yeah, so
I could see him taking out Nick Fury,
okay.
but I can't see him taking out the Avengers for that. Like, all these characters had nothing to do with it. If he went on a warpath against Shield, okay, I could buy that.
Well,
But
the Avengers was
not the characters
kind of like it was a Shield initiative, and I think he wanted to take the legs out from under Nick Fury. So if you systematically take out each step of this Avengers initiative, he's trying to get off the ground until he's left with nothing, and then
I
would've
think
kept
that's
going.
pretty dark to take a hero character and send in that direction. And again, this is what if, and what if he had a mental breakdown and went psychotic? Okay,
Hank Pym was never. I mean, he even in the comics he wasn't always a hero. For a while there, he went full villain, like full villain. So this is kind of him, letting into those darker impulses. So we see Hank, because even in the Ant-Man movie at the start, he was not a happy guy. He was an old grump. And without Paul Rudd, I mean, he's walking down that dark path a lot faster. Paul Rudd pulls everyone up.
Yes, he does. Go on, Trev.
Oh, so for me, I made the mistake of seeing the promotional poster for this episode, and the tagline says,
"Oh, it
Hope
spoils it.
Never dies." It says, "Hope never dies." And
Fudge.
so I'm watching. I'm like, "Is this? Oh God, is
that
this the
sucks.
Wasp?" So I was thinking, "Is this the Wasp doing this?" And then when she says, "Don't give up hope," I'm like, "Is she?" And when Black Widow's getting her ass kicked, I'm like, when she keeps saying hope, it's hope. I'm like, is this Wasp killing? And then they talk about, she's dead. And I'm like, well, then who else? And I was like, is it her mom? And then, oh shit, this is Hank, isn't it? This is Hank going full psycho like he did in the comic books. And then when you see him with the wild hair and the wild eyes, I was like, yep, called it. There's Hank.
Those are fabulous eyebrows. Those are fabulous eyebrows.
That was some angry guy. And I think the inventive ways that he was killing off the different, nudging the arrow. So
that was fantastic.
So
that was
Hawkeye.
beautiful. Yeah.
The way he took out Hulk, because I was like, how the hell do you kill the Hulk? Well, get inside him through the bullet while he's changing, and then just throw a little disc in his heart to make his heart enlarge. Get out of there. Or just ride the explosion.
Yeah, that was all fun.
And I love the callback to the Hulk movie. That was, the bridge in Princeton. And it was just like, damn, that's nice.
U of T.
Well,
it was shot because it was shot in Toronto, right?
It was supposed to be.
They used that as the setting, so they used the exact putting Mark Ruffalo's Bruce in there was beautiful. With the voice acting, the actress they got to replace Liv Tyler did an amazing impression of Liv Tyler's voice.
I thought it was Liv Tyler until I saw the credits.
Exactly. I was like, whoa, they got Liv Tyler to this, and then it's like, oh my God, it wasn't. That's fantastic. Michael Douglas returns as Hank, which is fabulous. Of course, we got Samuel L. Jackson, and Coulson returns as well. Grant, Clark, yes. Clark. Greg Clark returns as Coulson, which is kind of neat. And
my favorite twist of this whole episode was Loki stays on Earth and takes over as king.
Yes.
That was great.
That was just like,
yeah.
Because with Thor gone, who's going to stop him? Who honestly on the Earth is going to be strong enough to stop Loki? And then we kind of see that, summoning Carol Danvers. I'm like, well, maybe she can take him out. But that'll be in another episode.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is something else I wanted to say too. Best Black Widow since
that fight.
Yes.
The other thing
was
like the Black Widow movie. No good. This episode, this is the Black Widow I wanted to see in the Black Widow movie.
Exactly. I agree 100%.
Well, this is what
That
Black
fight.
Widow was meant to do. This is the stuff she is supposed to be doing. This is the stuff we never saw
Yes.
her do before the movies and all that. We saw her doing investigations, doing undercover stuff and all that. It was fantastic. I can't remember what I was listening to, but it might have been Black Man Beyond when he was talking about this particular episode. Mark Maron was doing the solo show because Kevin Smith wasn't on, so he did his own
Mark
version of the
Bernardin.
Mark Bernardin. Wrong Mark, Troy.
If Mark
Yeah.
Maron was doing this, like, what the heck is he doing on
like,
Black Man Beyond?
oh wow, I really should start writing more names down. How
It's
he
been a
was
while,
talking,
folks. It's
how
late.
he was, how he had been talking to some people that were working on it, and they had said that the Hulk explosion was supposed to be a lot more gorier. They originally had it was going to be a lot more blood and guts and all that, and when they got the budget for the episode, they realized they couldn't do what they wanted to, so that's why we had just the inflating and like the green explosion of Hulk, but apparently it was supposed to be a lot gorier than what we actually got. So
I think what they did was the right thing.
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
It was your mind filled in all the blanks.
Oh yeah.
You're like, one of those soldiers took a rib.
Yeah. A big rib. Yeah. But again, I thought it was it was great because it was a mystery, and which was kind of neat. It was a different than the other ones. We've had a heist, we've had an action adventure sort of thing, and now we have a mystery. And I'll admit, I wasn't until like you got to Widow about to find out that it was Hope. Once they said Hope, I'm like, oh, this is Ant-Man sort of thing. So it's like, oh, whatever. But the reveal that he's wearing the yellow jacket costume was fantastic. And yeah, the multiple being beaten up by multiple friggin' Nick Furies was kind of neat, and
That was so much fun.
oh, it was
At
so
first, I thought they
beautifully
were
done.
doing the Nick Fury bots, and then it's like, oh, Loki.
I thought the exact same thing until
like
he
Model D
started
toys.
deflecting way too easy. I'm like, oh, what's going? Oh, Loki. All right. And then again, Loki sticking around, taking over. Like it was, I thought it was highly enjoyable. And
I
any
think
kind
that
of
was the best ending out of all the episodes.
I want to hear
Because it
from
was
Rabbit.
it was an actual ending. A
Mm.
lot of them are cliffhanger endings. This felt like a real ending.
Kev, what's your opinion?
Are you saying
Kevin.
Gav?
Tell
or
us,
Kev?
Kevin.
yes, exactly.
Kev?
Kevin,
Come on, Kev.
it's your turn, Kevin. What do you have to
Come
say,
on, Kev.
Kev?
Hang on, I'll go get him.
All right.
Well, I mean, there's not a lot more to really gloss over with the twists and turns. I was guessing through the up until the library scene about how did Hawkeye miss, or how did the Hulk explode? Why did the Hulk explode? He's invincible. I just really appreciate the fact that this is the first point in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that they actually acknowledged that the Ed Norton Hulk movie existed. There has never been any callback
Yes.
to that,
This-
except now
Yeah.
they put Mark Ruffalo in that, which is making me now go, why can't they deep fake Mark Ruffalo over Ed Norton? That'd be cool.
I
Marvel,
think
if
that
you're
would be a
listening.
little too much. I think that would be a little too much because Ed Norton and Mark Ruffalo, very different body types. So you're having to like size things up and all
But
that.
now you're just getting complicated here, Troy. Just
Yeah,
deep
come
fake
on,
his head,
Troy.
I'll
Don't
watch
ruin
it.
the dream.
I'll just deep fake his face and I'll watch that movie again.
But you are right.
I-
You are right. It does canonize Ed Norton's Hulk as being part of the MCU by putting Mark Ruffalo into that sequence. Yes.
yeah, I in general, I like the episode. The fact that it was Ant-Man / Yellow Ant Jacket, whatever you want to call him. I thought it was a neat twist, and the Loki's taking over, and then it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was definitely sort of a way of introducing us that this is going to be a dark ride, folks. Strap in. It's going to get darker.
Oh, and it so does, because the next episode, I'm not sure if you guys agree with this or not, but the darkest one yet, and that is, what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? Now, again, we have another returning cast, which is kind of cool. It's great to have Benedict Cumberbatch doing the role. We also have Adams. No, Rachel Adams. It is Rachel Adams. Returning in her role as well. We even have Wong back. Benedict Wu coming back as Wong.
Swinton.
Sorry, yeah, Tilda
Swinton
Swinton
back as well.
Tilda Swinton even showing back up, which is another phenomenal thing and all that. And so basically the storyline is exactly what the title says.
Wow.
Exactly.
No, Adrian.
Exactly.
That's exactly what we're
it is
talking
so
about.
exciting, this episode.
We need an Adrian soundboard all the time.
We do need an Adrian soundboard all the time.
Yeah, the Usner just hit Aaron below the belt.
Oh, did he now?
I make a mistake, I just change my clothes. You make a mistake, I lose my daughter.
Ooh, ouch. Ooh, ouch. Okay.
I don't think this has anything to do with what if. But
No, it
what
has
if
nothing to do
did?
with what if it did. Great. That's perfect, Mike. I don't have to edit this sequence out now that you've put that little capper on it. Thank you. So what happens is when Strange gets into his accident, where in the MCU, he smashes his hands in the car accident. In this particular version, he is actually in the car accident, but please tell me the character's name.
Christine Palmer.
Christine is in the vehicle with him, and she's the one that actually ends up dying. And at the time, their relationship is so strong that he basically has a broken heart. And then he starts figuring out how to basically figure out a way to correct it. He starts to go dark magic and whatnot. And it's just a beautifully dark episode. Gavin, why don't you talk about this episode?
Do you think I would want to watch any of this?
Yeah, it was a great introduction to the really, really dark depths that someone can go. He basically starts pulling power from interdimensional beings, and absorbing their essence, becoming stronger and stronger and stronger, and effectively keeps trying to rewrite history, rewrite time, and finds out that he just simply can't change what has happened. It's one of those in Doctor Who they call it a fixed point of time that can't be changed.
Yeah,
so
exactly, yeah,
it has to happen. And so this
Very
is
Doctor Who.
yeah, exactly. So this embarks him down the path to basically breaking the rules to get the power, so that he can break that immovable point in time. And just the way it ends with essentially him effectively destroying his own universe was just amazing. My favorite part though was when he actually was so powerful that he became aware of the Watcher. As the first and only time so far in What If that someone actually was able to address the Watcher, and he said, "Help me," and the Watcher was like, "No, I'm watching. That's all I do." It was just a great sort of take on the folly of man. He was so overcome by his own hubris that he basically destroyed everything. Just deliciously dark.
So at one point near the beginning of the storyline, that the Ancient One she realizes what's going to happen. She realizes that Strange is going down a dark path and decides to try and split him into two. And hopefully she creates basically a hero to the villain that the one Strange becomes. So the one that goes dark, there is another storyline where one does not. It tries to, and at one point the two of them meet up, and it's just deliciously deliciously done.
Hilarity
Because
ensues.
yeah, exactly. And like Evan said, the different character, like he takes on an evil gnome. He absorbs the power of like some sort of evil gnome. Is it the gnome that
That
has
was funny.
is it the gnome that has the cloak, or is it the next one? It's the bug that has the cloak that he takes and all that.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's just the character design of these creatures and the transformation. And each time he absorbs in another being to gain all of its power, he like mutates and whatnot. It's just the
And the
design.
return of the tentacle creature from Captain Carter.
Return of the tentacle creature, exactly. Yes. It's
Anyone thought that that tentacle creature was Shumagorath?
Yeah, but they said it's not him or it.
yeah,
Whatever
but
gender it is.
you know what
It's
what
going
they
to be.
say about, yeah, it's totally going to be. Yes.
It's going to be.
Yeah. What's her face is not going to be She-Hulk. Yeah, she's She-Hulk. Yeah.
Oh.
What do you think, Mike?
This was my third favorite episode. I really liked how dark it was. I liked the idea of the fixed point in time.
Yeah.
I like that it's like the universe is trying to force him to become the Sorcerer Supreme. Now, the one thing I wish they did different would be to fix the ending. And I think this was like when I was watching this one is when Trevor said there's going to be a second season and all of these may have a second part. Because overall, with a lot of these episodes, I like the story, but I haven't liked the endings. But if they're cliffhangers with a second part,
Yeah.
then that might all get fixed. But in this episode in particular, what I was picturing happening is he's trying everything he possibly can to save Christine so that, like basically, try to stop what happens in the car accident. What I would have liked is this one episode, he changes it so that there's a car accident and he wrecks his hands. And then that goes back to the official timeline. Because Doctor Strange is a character I could see doing that. He kind of pops himself out of the what if and gets back to the timeline that he should have.
You're saying as like a follow-up to this.
Right. So
Okay.
all episode, he's trying all this stuff. Like the
Right.
whole episode goes exactly the way it did. But then he resets time one more time. And you get exactly what happens in the Doctor Strange movie. So it's like somehow the Sorcerer Supreme is able to rewire the timeline and get it back to where it should be. I thought that would have been a great ending.
For me, this episode, I think they ended it on the perfect point where you have the ultra power Strange Supreme, now that he's reintegrated himself with his split half alone in this destroyed universe. I'm hoping in the sequel we see him jump universe and see him over top of the car, and then him change so that Christine never gets in the car. He makes sure that Strange goes and destroys his hands so Christine stays alive. And then at that point, he's like, all right, things are going to go forward right, and does like a double snap on himself, and you just see him just fade into nothing. He basically commits suicide, knowing that he's reset the timeline the way it should go.
That's the thing. If there is going to be a second part, it could still happen. So
it could still happen. So
I'd be excited for that.
Knowing that there is a second season, and knowing that they are entertaining ideas of doing continuations of some of these episodes. Initially, I was unhappy with the way each episode was ending. I'm like, this. I know they're throwing on a cliffhanger, but the normal What If comic books didn't do as many cliffhanger endings. And I was like, come on, guys, stop with the cliffhangers. This isn't like,
Right. Just finish the story.
Yeah, just finish the damn story. But now realizing that, there could be some sequels happening, I'm like, all right, I'm good with some of the cliffhangers then.
Yeah, some of the what ifs would actually end up with like an epilogue sort of thing, like a couple of panels that would go, well, this is how the rest of the life goes, sort of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so on that note, we go on to What If Zombies, which is basically what the title of the episode is called. What If Zombies, with an exclamation point, then a question mark. So this is basically taking on sort of this Marvel Studios version of the Marvel Zombies. Now, obviously, it's completely different because this is more of a George A. Romero zombie story than an actual Marvel Zombies, where as in the Marvel Zombies comics, the actual characters hold on to their personalities and are able to use their powers. In this particular version, we are given zombies that are still sort of zombies, but they can also still use either their equipment or their abilities as well. So other than that, they are zombies. Now, this is a fast-acting virus because it doesn't take long to turn people. We're talking a bite sort of thing. If you get scratched, it obviously takes a little longer for it to happen, but you never know. So what has happened is we start off with Hulk being shot back to Earth after Thanos is starting to destroy what's left of Thor and his gang. And again, he ends up in Doctor Strange's house, but it's strangely abandoned. And Banner goes out into the streets and it's strangely abandoned as well. Then two of the children of Thanos show up. It's Ebony Maw and
Cull Obsidian.
Thank you. Like it does in our movie of Infinity War. They show up and they're about to say exactly, but this time it's just Banner. it's just Banner standing there with these two coming towards him, and like in the movie, Hulk refuses to show up. So before anything comes to any blows, all of a sudden, mystic portals open, and again, Tony Stark's gauntlet hand comes out and shoots Ebony Maw on the side of the head. And in the distance, there's a dust up between Strange and Wong and Iron Man taking on the two of them. They go down and like Banner's all like, yeah, you guys are gonna get it now, sort of like repeating the line when Thor showed up. And then in the dust up, it seems they're going a little further than just beating them up, and it looks like they are devouring them. And poor Mark Ruffalo was like, guys, I think that's a little too far. And then it's revealed when Tony stands up in his Iron Man costume, turns around, zombie Tony Stark, and a zombie Wong, and a zombie, and before Strange. You know it, it's zombie Strange. And it's just hilarity ensues. So basically, in this situation, Banner gets rescued by Wasp and Spider-Man and the Cape as well.
Yeah, Strange's
Cape, which
it's its own character.
Is its own character, which is fantastic. We know it's its own character, but it's given an actual like starring role practically in this version of the story and all that. And it's basically a Train to Busan sort of storyline. We're given a bunch of basically surviving characters. We are given Happy Hogan has survived. Agent Carter's granddaughter, Sharon Carter, survives. Bucky Barnes survives. Well, at this time, he's Wakandan. He's the White Wolf, right? Because he's got the White Wolf. Because he's got the Wakandan arm. And Okoye. No, Okoye. Good. Okoye. I got that name right. Yet I couldn't remember Robert Pattinson. So Okoye is also there, and we're given this fantastic zombie film in the Marvel universe. It is as fun as you want because Parker, again, another voice actor replacing Tom. Holland. Wow. Tom Holland, replacing Tom Holland, who does a fantastic job of doing Tom Holland, but everyone else comes back with their actual original actors roles, which is kind of neat. and it's just a fun little zombie film. They have to get to they found out that there's some place that has a cure for the zombies, which turns out to be some sort of trap that's set up by Vision.
Camp Lehigh from that's where Steve Rogers was trained.
Yes, exactly. Yes, it goes exactly.
Camp Lehigh,
yes.
New Jersey.
Yeah, it's all drawing from all the Marvel universe and all that, and it's just a fun zombie ride. What do you think there, Trev?
Well, as past listeners may know, I might be a bit of a fan of zombies. Maybe. Might be. Could be. When this episode was announced, I was like hopping in my seat. And they delivered. They delivered well. Characters I didn't expect to see as survivors were there, and it was nice. I love the whole, Bucky Barnes fighting zombified Captain America, and he throws the shield and he cuts Captain America in two and says, you've reached the end of your line, which, I'm with you to the end of the line. Well, you just reached the end of your line. It was just a little nice line. Finally, Peter Parker acknowledged Uncle Ben. Yeah. When he talked about who he's lost, and he said Uncle Ben, and I was like, finally they acknowledge it in the, in the MCU that Uncle Ben bit the big one. And I mean, the ending was kind of a little wishy-washy. But I'm not sure how the zombies managed to bite Thanos, but these things happen. But I liked a lot of the little things, like the fact that Wanda is a zombie, but Vision can't let her go. She's the one person he has an attachment to, and he even states logically he knows he should, but for some reason he can't bring himself to do it. Yeah. And then when she ramps up power, and you're like, oh crap. Now, an interesting thing
I just got to jump in on that part real quick, because I like the way they set that up, because it's really dark and really creepy that Vision's keeping Wanda and kind of feeding people to her.
She was feeding Black Panther.
The turn was too quick.
Yeah,
but they just turned it too quick. It's like, yeah, I'm feeding my wife zombie humans, and it just seems to make sense to me. It's like, okay, you're an android. Okay, I get it. But then all of a sudden it changes on a dime for no reason. That's a moment that I thought they could have spent a little bit more time in the writing room just to make that a little more believable.
Now, I can't remember now where I read it, because people have been asking, like on Reddit, like if they're zombies, how are they using their powers? And one of the writers for this episode, Matthew Chauncey, answered something on Reddit to the effect of, when you're first bitten and you first turn into a zombie, you're just basically, you're feasting. You want human flesh. You want to eat. But your brain still hasn't decomposed enough, so you still have access to a lot of your memories and skills. But your overriding goal is to eat. So you're not going to be like, hey, I'm a hero, I'm not gonna hurt you. It's like, no, I'm going to use everything at my disposal to get what I need, because that virus wants that food. But as they go along, the brain starts to erode. So like, after a while, like Tony Stark, his armor won't recognize him anymore, because the brain's not giving him the right signal. So the armor is eventually just going to lock him in place and not go anywhere. But natural powers, like, if you have super strength, there's no brain required to keep the muscles at super strength. You're always going to have that super strength, which is a terrifying zombie to me. One that just rips cars to get it on its way to you. But
yeah, when you mentioned Iron Man, that was one that I was like, what? How is a zombie using the Iron Man armor?
So the brains hadn't rotted to the point of being the slow foot draggers like the rest. Now, the thing is, a lot of the normal humans rot a little faster. Maybe his armor, it's using its environmental systems to try to keep the body cool, to slow the rate of decay. But yeah, so that's how he was explaining why fresh turn zombies were a little bit stronger, still using other powers. Like Steve Rogers, Captain America, body would still be running with the super soldier formula running through him, so he'd still be better than all the other zombies. So I like that they included that in it, that someone had been thinking when they were in the writing room to add that in. And I'm hoping to see this one get a sequel. Really am.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because
for
the
sure,
ending
yeah.
was very weak. I agree with what you said.
It was weak and so
'Cause
wide open.
I'm the guy who doesn't like zombies, but I loved this episode. Like, if I'm going to watch a zombie show, this is the kind of show I do want to watch because it was
for me,
a lot of fun. It was unpredictable.
The whole fight to the train yard and then the moving I mean, that was it was so suspenseful. Like you were just like, you were getting to the edge of your seat. You're like, are they, oh God, what are they going to get to the, who are they going to meet up with next that's going to stop them from getting to this damn train? And they're like, oh, train's out of power. Well, shit.
Yeah. And you don't know who's going to get turned. You don't know what's going to happen because it's like alternate reality. There's no rules. Anything can happen. Yeah. So I enjoyed all of that stuff. A few story points, like I was saying, with the whole Wanda. Now, I do like Wanda as the zombie. Whereas Iron Man, like a zombie in a mech suit, it's like, I don't know. But Wanda is
a zombie queen.
Yeah, a zombie witch. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I like the giant wasp zombie. That was really cool. Touch. Yeah. So there's a whole lot of stuff that was going really good with that. I love their take on Spider-Man in the entire episode. I loved his little documentary on how to escape zombies and how to survive the zombie apocalypse. That was great.
The cape came on to Parker.
Yes. In fact, Hot Toys even made a toy of that, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
But I agree, the ending was incredibly weak. And I do hope it gets a second episode that can tie everything together.
Agree 100%.
Well, the unfortunate thing is, well, first of all, it's kind of cool to have Paul Rudd returning as a head. The unfortunate thing is the result that they actually come to is getting to Wakanda, and unfortunately they are with, again, as we said, Chadwick Boseman, and unfortunately, because we have not quite had anything for season 2 yet documented,
we don't know if he's
might be a little different of an ending than what we were hoping. So we may not have Parker and Lang in. Well, we might actually have Parker and Lang in this, but I don't think we're gonna have our Chadwick Boseman. Now they might just switch it to whoever takes on the mantle of Black Panther in the upcoming movie, and then we'll go from there.
Or he doesn't survive the trip there.
Exactly, because he is, which is kind of neat. Another nice thing, because in the Marvel Zombies comics, they actually were using Black Panther as a food source. They were chopping off his limbs and slowly feasting on him, keeping him not turning into a zombie. So it's kind of neat, the fact that they chopped off his leg and whatnot. So it's kind of neat to see that. But like Trevor, I'm a huge zombie fan. I really enjoyed this episode. I knew coming, again, like Trevor, I knew there was going to be a zombie episode. I knew going into this there was going to be a zombie episode, and I'm also a big fan of Marvel Zombies, and this is just, it was a delight to watch this episode. And again, yes, it did have a bit of a weak ending to it, and again, they could have cut back on some sort of things to expand on some other things. But again, from the way that they handled the zombies in this, you know that the writers were fans of the zombie genre, and they brought you pretty much every single scenario that you wanted to see. And again, it's a half-hour animated series, and they brought.
And the one thing that I noticed, we never saw Thor, so that's going to set up a sequel nicely.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Or the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Nope. Exactly.
And if we see Thanos, then they've got to be part of it somehow. So that's why I'm thinking
a great second episode.
The sequel episode's going to be nice.
Yeah. Okay, so after that, unless there's anyone else that has to say anything about that,
Kev.
My only objection with that was yes, it was great that the Redditor or the Reddit post got one of the writers to comment on that particular aspect of the powers, but it could have been addressed with a simple throwaway line. Bruce Banner could have said, "I don't understand. is Iron Man using his power, his repulsor blast? And then they could say, well, it's blah blah blah, muscle memory or
But
just
the thing is,
instinctual reaction.
if they don't know, then that might be something they address in the sequel episode. You know, when they find like Tony Stark stuck in his armor. Yeah, but things if they
I
find
could
Tony
see
Stark stuck
Spider-Man
in his
doing
armor
the answer.
chomping in a circle and can't go anywhere, and they're like, "What's going on with him?" Then they can say, "Oh, he's rotted enough to the point where the armor's no longer reacting to him." You know, something they discover because up to this point, you know, they're just going from place to place, reacting. They're not having time to do scientific experiments on these zombies and figure out what's going on with them.
Although Spider-Man had that good documentary, I think, like, I agree with Gavin. If you were to have Spider-Man say that in that moment, because that's where the audience is going, I don't quite understand what's going on. So then the character explains it. You know, oh, okay.
Well,
I get
that's
it.
because the thing is, in the comics, I mean, when they turn, they're still at least retaining some of their intellect. So like they're still capable of rational thought and like using their powers, but they don't establish this in the Marvel Cinematic Universe of the version of the zombies. So if they can sort of throw in that line that says that, oh, we think it's because it's some sort of like instinctual reaction or a reflex or something like that. Just something that kind of gives you an idea that they're not as brainless as they appear to be, or that there is an explanation for how Hawkeye was able to like accurately fire arrows. Well, clearly not as accurate as
he's
you know,
still a
the
good archer.
actual live version.
He's still a good
But
archer.
still.
So. Dead or alive. he's
True,
still
but
good.
I mean, as a dead archer, that was pretty freaking amazing. Most dead archers can't hit the broadside of a barn, or shoot a bow, or move.
All right, so that brings us to our latest episode, which was released last Wednesday. And I think, I don't know about you guys, but I think it's the most anticipated episode because it was the one that had the most questions because we never had anything more than a single shot. And what it is it's what if Killmonger rescued Tony Stark in Afghanistan? And in the trailer, all we got the opening sequence, well, I guess, of Tony Stark in the caravan driving across Afghanistan. Hey, can I take a picture? Sure thing. No gang signs. Yeah, go ahead. Peace. And all that whole entire sequence plays out exactly as it does in the movie, right down to the vehicle getting shot at, everyone getting out and getting shot, and Tony scrambling around, and one of his own friggin' missiles landing right next to him. And as it's about to blow up and start the whole entire Iron Man movie off, Killmonger steps in, grabs the missile and throws it away, and then fights off the horde and saves Tony Stark. And we get a whole entire new timeline where Killmonger is this fantastic savior and all that.
Until he isn't.
I mean, no, but he's Killmonger. He is still the great. I mean, jumping right to the end, the great thing about this is Killmonger that we saw in this What If is still Killmonger from Black Panther. It's the exact same character. There's no change. He just has a different opportunity in this, and it is beautifully done. This, again, one that we didn't know what was going to happen because all we knew about this particular episode was that opening sequence of Killmonger grabbing the missile and saving Tony Stark. That's all we knew that was going to happen. There was no other things, no other clips, no other whatever to even speculate what was going to happen. And we got this fantastic story. Also, we got probably our biggest returning cast. Not only do we have, again, we have Michael B. Jordan doing Killmonger, which is fantastic. We have Favreau returning as Happy. We have Don Cheadle returning as Rhodey. Well, actually, this is the first time he's doing Rhodey, right?
Yeah.
Was he? Yeah. So we have Don Cheadle coming in as Rhodey. We have Andy Serkis returning. We have Angela Bassett showing up in this episode. I made a post as soon as I saw the opening credits of this. I had to make a post online that I wish that Marvel had handled their opening credits, because while it's not much of a spoiler, I mean, sure, you get all the voice actors, but I would have liked to have been a little more of a thrill to see, oh my God, is that actually doing the voices? Because they give away at the beginning who's doing their voice acting. Which is all right, but I would like to have that have been a little bit of a mystery. Knowing that Angela Bassett comes back as T'Challa's mother is fan-frickin-tastic. I mean, it's just like, that is such a get. But again, we go through this whole entire thing. And like I've said before, the actress they got to replace Pepper Potts, Gwyneth Paltrow does not return as Pepper Potts. This actress they got to do Gwyneth Paltrow's voice is phenomenal. I basically, okay, I got to see the end here and pause and all that. And it obviously was not Gwyneth Paltrow, but it's just, they've done a fantastic job with all these.
Well, the Tony Stark voice.
The Tony Stark
and the
phenomenal.
Tony Stark writing.
Yes.
Yeah,
like,
they got
this is
the
totally
quippiness
first
of
movie.
it,
This is totally
everything.
first movie Tony Stark. This is totally first movie
Fun fact
Robert
about,
Downey Jr.
Fun fact about the voice actor that does the Tony Stark impression, Robert Downey Jr. impression. He's actually reprised Tony Stark / Iron Man in multiple roles.
Yeah, he's also done a lot of video game stuff, hasn't he?
Yeah, Lego games, actual Avengers games, even the actual Avengers Assemble series as well. When they initially cast the character in those shows, it was very clearly influenced by the Robert Downey Jr. Take on it, because you could kind of get that Playboy kind of like off the cuff kind of commentary sort of feel from the voice, and he's just been doing it for a long time. That he was able to pull off Tony Stark / Robert Downey Jr. Perfectly.
Well, he's got
he
the
did
cadence
so well.
of Robert Downey Jr., the way he speaks,
Yeah.
the delivery, the cadence in which he speaks. He's got it down perfectly.
Yeah, no, again, like you said, his delivery is fantastic. So basically the story goes on that Killmonger saves Tony Stark to get an in, and he becomes a hero. He then gets the US military behind him to basically take down like Kang. No, not Kang. Sorry.
Yeah. Ulysses Claw.
Claw. Ugh, I knew it was a short one. I knew Kang is still fresh in my mind, but it was Claw. And again, it was just such a fun, it was probably the most beautifully shot one. Like the final sequence, like the battle sequence at the end where they all come together and fight, just so beautifully done. I mean, these episodes, I mean, the quality never wanes, which is fantastic. I love the fact that the quality never wanes. They're all on the same par. They all look as beautiful. They're all shot as beautiful and all that. The writing might not be as strong as another, but I really enjoyed this one just because it was a fantastic twist on all the characters. And everything that happens in the movie logically happens. Knowing the characters that we do know from seeing all these movies, we know how they would react to sort of things. And we know that Tony Stark would put something into his tech to spy on whoever was using his tech to find out the stuff that he does in the movie, in the episode, and then it turns on him. Killmonger adds a couple of scars to himself. He takes out quite a few main characters. I mean, it's so smartly
planned.
Yeah, no, this episode is so smartly written to carry on. Like I said, it gives you the same storyline that Killmonger has in Black Panther, but this time he's successful. This time in the end,
there was a beautiful little throwaway when they were trying to. Oh no, they were trying to
Don't do that, Trevor. Trevor, don't.
They were trying to figure
by
out
an alligator.
You know, they were trying to figure out how to power these robots, these drones. You know, second movie, drone good, pilot bad. How to figure how to run the drones, and Tony Stark's laying there and he even says, we could miniaturize one of the arc reactors. Nah, that's stupid. That just took the whole
great.
Iron Man concept gone. And then that's when they talk about vibranium and he's like pulls out his thing and they analyze it and says, where can we get more? And that was a beautiful setup on how, and I, in my mind, the whole time I'm thinking Killmonger has already planned these steps. He's just running through the steps in the order he needs them so that he can get his revenge on the Wakandan king who killed his dad, which is his whole motivation, both through the Black Panther film and this What If. His motivation hasn't changed. He still wants revenge. He's just going about it with the opportunities as they present themselves. And he just does it so well. It was just, and then at the end, you know, when he gets basically king of Wakanda and they give him the juice and he sees T'Challa there on the tree. And it's like, and then when they do the final little twist at the end where Pepper Potts meets up with Shuri in her office and they're very suspicious of Killmonger and they're like, we got to stop him. We got to take him down, which again sets up a sequel very nicely. And I want to see where this goes because I love the character of Killmonger. He was one of in my opinion, one of the best of the Marvel villains.
I agree.
He was a sympathetic villain. He had a clear motivation to what he wanted. He wanted revenge and a way, and he had figured out a way to get there, and he executed it. He got so close to achieving his goal. It was just a last minute, you know, hero has to win sort of situation. And he's like, well, fuck, get a bad CGI fight and a spear in the chest, you know. But at least in this What If, we get to see what if he wasn't unsuccessful. What if his plans came to fruition? And this was a great episode.
Yeah, for me, this was my favorite episode of the entire series so far. I love how it started with Iron Man, you know, very first Marvel Cinematic Universe film. And I kind of thought it would stay encapsulated in that space. But I liked the way it continued all the way through Avengers, Age of Ultron, essentially, with Claw, then all the way to Black Panther. And we end in the Black Panther universe. So I thought that was a lot of fun. And I was so happy that there was that scene that you had mentioned, Trevor, where he drinks the juice and he sees T'Challa. Like, you see Chadwick Boseman. And for me, that was the highlight moment for him of this entire series. Again, I was kind of sad about the Star-Lord one because it wasn't exactly my favorite episode, but this episode was my absolute favorite. And there was something very haunting about him having that dialogue from the afterlife. Like, that just gave me chills because it was such a powerful moment. And, you know, with the actor having passed on and then delivering that dialogue to us, it just absolutely gave me chills. And this is one where we better get a second episode because the ending was not strong enough. If that's the absolute ending, it didn't quite give me what I need. But if we get that second episode, then I'll be very happy.
Now, it's a little side note. You talk about moments that you know, they give you the chills. Someone had posted what in all the MCU movies, what moments in films give you chills, and if you throw it into a what if, so what happens? And it was in Endgame where the fight between Vision and Scarlet Witch and the two in the train yard, and when the train goes by and she looks and she throws the spear, it's like, what if Steve muffed the catch and took the spear to the chest? How would that play it from there? Well, they take out, you know, Falcon and Black Widow, and they pluck the soul stone out of or the mind stone out of Vision, and the movie's much different from that point on.
For sure, yeah.
Steve Rogers laying in the train yard, spear sticking up out of his chest. Man, half a second more and I could have got that one. I think honestly, this whole What If series has sparked a lot of new interest in the MCU, with, you know, where they're going to go with this, and the fact that it's been announced that all of these stories are canon. You know, these are different dimensions and
actual multiverse.
So this multiverse of madness is really going to play out with some of these.
Yeah, because we've only got a handful of the episodes left, And we know of a couple of storylines that we still have. We still have there's an Ultron
Thor.
episode. There's
Mhm.
a Party Thor episode. There's the the Revengers. And I think, is there another one? There's another one out there. But then again, Party Thor and the Ultron one might be of the same episode. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know where they're going because they haven't shown very much of these particular episodes except for tiny little clips and all that. But yeah, it's definitely hands down. It's been a very entertaining series. I mean, it's not like it's been a waste of time watching these episodes. Have any of the episodes been a waste of time for you, Mike?
Second episode, no, I would say a waste of time because I did like The Collector and I did like Howard the Duck. Second episode was the closest to a waste of time. The rest of them I've enjoyed a lot.
Okay. All right. And so obviously we're tuning in for the next couple of more weeks because again, there's only 9 or 10 episodes.
9, I think.
10, I
9?
think.
Okay, so that's
I'm not
basically what we got is those next 3, and then that's it. So okay, cool. So the other thing we're going to do is we are going to
Oh my gosh. Oh my god.
all right. So as we come to the conclusion of that particular thing, we're going to be actually coming to a conclusion of this particular episode. So we want to thank everyone for coming back and joining us for yet another long haul of basically not only we didn't cover very much, but we covered a lot in this particular episode. From this point on, we're going to be more of a regular basis of getting the episodes up. So we're not going to have a backlog of stuff to talk about. So hopefully we'll be a little more up to date. And
Well,
like
there's a lot coming out Wednesday.
yeah, there's a lot coming out this Wednesday. So we're going to have quite a bit to talk about for next week's episode. So you don't worry, we'll be up to date with all of our stuff. So that being said, on the count of 3, we're going to do our collective. We're going to do our wow. I am so
Good night, folks. No.
Good night, folks. And
try it again, Troy. You got this.
Exactly. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Collective
Collective
goodbye.
goodbyes. Okay, I see. All right. I thought you were gonna. It's not working, Trevor.
It's not working.
No,
So
The
it's
sound
anticlimactic.
canceling. The sound canceling is. Nope, can't hear you at all. Oh well.
Wait, what if that actually worked?
Oh, that's true. What if that actually worked?
Let me get some Jolt Cola.
And Trevor explodes. Trevor explodes like the Hulk. All right.
awesome.
Good night, guys.
You have just been listening to Geeking Off the Page with your hosts, Mike Kitchen, Gavin Burbage, Trevor Brown, and Troy Bowman. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Also, if you could leave us a rating and comment, that would assist in allowing others to find this podcast more easily. You can follow the podcast on the following social platforms: Instagram and Twitter, search for @PlanetGeekPod, all one word. On Facebook, search for Planet Geek Productions. Or you can send us an email to planetgeekpod@gmail.com. Buy the guys a coffee by going to Ko-Fi, ko-fi.com/PlanetGeekPod. And know that any and all donations will go towards improving all current and future Planet Geek Productions programs. Thank you for listening.
All right.
I'll
that
make
was
it work
pretty
for the
good.
next time. I'll turn off the sound canceling.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. The not be able to catch. It's kind of weird that. Anyways, all right. So that was actually pretty good, guys. That was pretty fun.
Hold on, let me turn off this sound canceling.
Okay.
Ready?
Oh yeah, we can hear you
Oh, there
pour
we
into
go.
your mouth now. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, that's the
Yep.
one.
Ow! Ow! It's starting
All
to
right,
hurt.
we got an outtake out of that anyway.
There we go.
Oh.